Okay, we are starting a long journey. We're starting our first day of tournament prep. So there's some really important things you have to know about this process specifically, because what we've been doing so far in debate is what it's going to keep looking like. So while you listen to this recording, also open up that link right there and follow along with these slides. So tournament prep is going to affect you basically almost every single day for the rest of the semester. Sometimes we'll take a tournament prep break, but it's going to be like every day from now on. Okay, which there's lots of debate strategies I haven't taught you yet. There's a lot of debate language you need to know that I haven't taught you yet. So most every single day we'll have a quick vocab lesson, and then you have time to take your specific group's type of tournament prep steps. Sometimes it's the same. A lot of days it's different. So, Debate 2, usually I will poll them and I'll be like, is it a big deal? And they'll all be like, yes! And I'll ask them, is it important to actually take your time seriously? And they'll all say, yes! Would you agree that the time you put into it actually pays off? Yes! Does the time go really quickly? So much more than kids realize. They think that they can kind of goof off here and there and it won't matter, and it really does. So, side note for Debate 2 kiddos, that they get to pick and choose if they want to follow that day's instructions, since they've already done all the basic stuff. Most of them have in the past years, or they've already done it while you guys were all learning the basics. They kind of get to pick and choose. So, good debaters have evidence for stuff. So as being a teacher, I have to prove that I'm being effective. And COVID was actually a really good thing for debate, even though it canceled tournaments. It made me completely change how I do tournament prep for debaters. And in the past, I was able to prove that about 60% of my debaters were making significant progress. Okay, so I was able to prove that 60% were making significant progress. Sorry, I just got interrupted if that was weird. Okay, but then this year, actually, I need to change that, not even say last year, I'm able to prove that it's way more successful. The process that we're doing, I know works so much better that almost all of you are going to be successful if you actually follow along. And the kids who aren't successful is because they didn't do what they were supposed to. So keep in mind that, I made this recording in 2024. This might have changed. But as of right now, it's February 1st. Kids in my debate class just finished learning all the basic types of feature debate. Their first tournament is March 22nd. And that means that there's about 33 class periods to get ready. And that's a very normal number, no matter when you're watching this recording. 33 class periods sounds like a lot, but when it comes down to actual time that I give you during class, it ends up being about 21 hours. So ask yourself, is 21 hours enough for me to get ready for the tournament? And the answer technically is yes, but it's very, very close. Every second actually really does matter. So, one quick note about after-school practice. Those will be starting next week. Once you've done a little bit of tournament prep, then we're ready to do those after-school practices. So, preview on Canvas, I'm just going to show you really quick that you can see that once this loads, Canvas is going to be full of, let me scroll down, tournament prep, vocab, tournament prep, vocab, tournament prep, vocab. So we have a lot of steps in front of us. When you're absent in debate, you still have to do those steps, because if you don't, you're missing really important stuff. So this is currently third quarter in 2024, and so the tournament assessment will go on that quarter's grade. Usually the day of the tournament is usually also the end of the quarter, so be aware that that's when most assignments would lock, is the day of the tournament. The assessment, so it's specific to the type of speech or debate you're doing. For oratory, you have to get at least 7.5 minutes. That's how long your speech has to be when you're actually performing it. And at the first novice tournament, which means it's your first one, I'm not making you memorize it. For extemp, you have to have 3 speeches, 3 pieces of evidence for each of those 3 speeches, and you have to actually do all 3 speeches. That's how you get your full 300 assessment points. For LD and policy, you have to win one of your 3 debates or rounds. Most kids win 2. A lot of kids even win 3. So 1 sounds impossible. It's not. If you follow the steps I'm about to have you start doing, you'll be fine. One skill does build on the previous one, so if you're absent, you need to go back from where you left off. Otherwise, you're going to be confused. And there is hardly any time. You really only have about 3 class periods if you start along the process and you're like, wait, I don't know if I like this one. So you really cannot switch after a certain amount of time. Keep in mind, there's one of me, There's 30 of you. There's 4 different groups of people doing 4 different things, and I'm going to help you as fast as I possibly can. And usually I'm really successful at that, but you might have to be patient sometimes. Also, asking for Debate 2's help is really smart because they have already done this. They know what they're doing. They can help you. When you do have tournament prep, if you don't actually read all of the instructions, you're going to be really confused. These are not the kinds of instructions that you can just kind of read the first ones and start going. You need to read all of them before you start anything. One really healthy attitude to have is if you want to destroy your opponents, which is fun, worry about your own progress. Don't let somebody else who's goofing off or not trying as hard as you, don't let them affect your progress. You have to care for yourself enough to be like, you know what, I'm going to ignore this kid because he's being a knucklehead right now. If you do want feedback on your daily tournament prep, you'll just go in and let me open up our tournament prep we're about to do really quick. It'll say right here, it'll have a button that says submission comment. You would make a comment. Hey, can you give me feedback and tell me specifically what you want feedback on? If you are writing a speech and that's the thing you want feedback on, this is what I want you to do instead. So let's pretend this was my speech, even though it's not. You're going to share it with me. Don't just make a comment on Canvas in that case. Share it with me and say, here's the specific part I want feedback on. And then if you do that, what it does, it pops up in my email, and that way I remember that I need to go in and give you feedback. Okay, let me get back to the right tab here. Okay, if you never ask, I'm going to assume you don't need help. So it's fine if you don't ask, but I'm not going to give you written feedback unless you ask for it. As your teacher, here was my thought process. I just want you to know what I went through. So I asked myself, is this going to help them get ready? Is it going to keep them accountable? Is it worth their time? And all the stuff that I wasn't able to answer yes on those questions, I got rid of it. So the stuff that you're left with is stuff that's actually going to help you for the tournament. Fair warning, you waste your time, you're going to have tons of missing assignments. It's hard. Once you get in a hole of missing assignments in debate, it's hard to get back out. So be in the habit, turn in your assignments every day. You're going to be stressed if you don't do the assignments. You're going to get to the tournament and you're going to be like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. So be really careful. And you should never have free time in debate. You can literally never have enough research. So you should always be thinking, what else can I do? What's the next step? What can I do to be ESMOT, right? Stay on task no matter what. You're in your own bubble of put on headphones, ignore everything else. You focus on your success. And if nothing else, let the thought of beating your opponents and that fun, let that motivate you. So when you're ready for today's tournament prep, notice that there's a couple of things right at the top to pay attention to. Each day you're going to do a different task that's specific to your type. Debate 2, here's your instruction here. Policy, notice that there's these instructions. You're watching a video today. Sometimes it's different. And make sure you carefully read the instructions. There's lots of little details here. Then here's Lincoln Douglas. Here's your instructions. Here's the video you would watch after you read those instructions. Oratory has their own separate set of instructions. And Extemp has their own separate set of instructions. Read all the instructions before you start.